Okay, everybody, welcome in to my first episode of my podcast. Yeah, we have tons of Trackmaster here,
Hello, hi.
and yeah, I have some topics and stuff for us to start off with. We can kind of
Awesome.
transition off of it.
Sure.
So, why did you start YouTube in general?
That's a great question. Yeah, I mean, I think I was inspired by other people as making videos about trains, mostly. So the likes of Sidekick Jason, I think the Unlucky Tug, they were inspirations to sort of, start a channel, and then I think it sort of grew from there, really.
Yeah, that's a pretty good reason. Yeah, I think I kind of pretty similar to that because I started off watching, especially when I was younger. I watched a lot of like little kid YouTubers like building little tracks and such, and just kind of inspired me to eventually do this.
Sure, yeah. I
And I
think
was like,
towards
middle of COVID, also, I was just like, screw it, why not?
Indeed, yeah, couldn't agree more. I think COVID, because that's when I sort of really started uploading. I think like a video a day then. So yeah, and then I think it's got into the groove of it, and it was pretty good.
Okay, so my next question here is, when did you get into Thomas? Like, how did you kind of start off with that?
Yeah, well, I think when I was much younger, I can't give you an exact age, I think, but I was quite young. So let's say maybe 5, 6, something like that. I went to some railway line, miniature railway line, I think, somewhere in Kent. And in the shop there was some Trackmaster trains, and I sort of got my hands on a Caitlin. I remember that, and like I think it just sort of went from there. And then for my birthday, I asked, "Could I have a Diesel 10?" That was the next logical character there, or something. And it sort of went from there. I think there's pictures of me with a unboxing a Paxton when I was much younger, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I think I kind of had the same story. Like, I remember, I think I was much younger. It was like early Trackmaster, like early 2000s Trackmaster. I don't think it was actually still in the store. I think it might have been bought third party. I don't remember.
Right.
And my parents bought me a Percy's Day at the Farm set,
Awesome.
the
Yeah,
little
that's
Percy in a little circle.
that's very cool. Pretty awesome.
And then eventually I started seeing it. I started watching it on at least here we have it on PBS Kids, and I for most of
Sure.
the
Yeah.
time it was on because I was like I started kind of I didn't really watch a lot of it until early CGI started coming out, and I kind of started getting into it, and I was kind of excited about watching Thomas, and then eventually I just kind of got into this, and then sadly, like right when I really started getting into Thomas,
I
PBS
can relate.
stopped getting it off air. Like they just took it right off the air. In like 2018, they took Thomas off PBS, and I was just like so disappointed.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, sure. Indeed. I don't think I ever watched it on TV. I don't have a TV. I think it was mostly what would it have been on? I know I had a bunch of Thomas books when I was much younger. I think I still probably have them. The My Story, I can't quite remember what they're called, but those were sort of I read them and I was like, this is pretty good, cool stuff.
Yeah, I think I
Yeah,
mostly started out with the DVDs. Like I kind of my parents bought me a lot of like the model series DVDs, and I just kind of watched them after a long time. I have this tiny little
yeah,
TV and a DVD player, and I just kind of sat in the corner and watched
I
them.
see. Indeed, very cool.
So, what are your plans for the future?
For the future, well, I'm definitely not uploading any more stuff on my. Well, okay, no, let's not put it like that. I'm going to be uploading far less frequently on the Tons channel. I think I haven't uploaded in what must be 4 or 5 months now, with most focus going on the right track and my GCSE exams, which are exams that you've got to take when you're 16. So that's what I'm, sort of focusing on now. Been doing a bunch of revision for that, and also going to stations and filming them for that channel, which is more rewarding, I feel, to make those videos.
Yeah, I thought it was. I was watching your most recent one a little bit ago, and I thought it was actually really interesting. It's weird how
Thank
like a lot of the stations just turn straight into just someone just living there. They decide to live in the house, and there's like,
I know it's crazy. It's really interesting. I was at one earlier today, as a matter of fact, and it had just been turned into a cafe, as you know, which is quite interesting. So I got a nice cup of tea there in the morning, of course, as a Brit does.
yeah, I'm like, what was the thought process there? Like, oh, I see this old station. I'm gonna live here now.
I know. I mean, I suppose you'd sort of think, oh, the convenience. All you've got to do is sort of get out and catch a train. But for a lot of them, there aren't any trains there. They're abandoned stations. So I'm not sure what the incentive is, especially if most of them have been abandoned and you've got to spend tons on renovating it. But
Yeah,
there you
I don't know. So, what do you think is like your favorite kind of aspect of Thomas in general as kind of like just a TV show?
That is a good question. I think that it's probably changed over time. I think logically like the fact that there were trains there. I like trains. That's relatable. I can go outside, go to the station and see trains. So that was good. I think now I appreciate the practical aspects of it more. So the filmmaking and the direction and all that. It's really interesting to me. The editing, how it's sort of put together, how the models are filmed. So I sort of find that quite interesting now, more so than when I was younger, I assume.
I think for me it's kind of similar, but at the same time different because in America there are like no trains at all. Like mine was more of a fascination for something I cannot actually go see. The only train I can
So,
probably see is I can go see like maybe like a goods train taking some steel or whatever and taking that somewhere, and that's about it.
sure, right. So that's America. Yeah, I guess there's some parts which are quite limited in trains for sure.
Yeah, the
Uh,
only thing passenger we have like Amtrak going through the US, but you don't
Amtrak,
really see that.
heard of it? No, no, definitely not. I mean, I think where I lived, where I used to live in Kent, sort of the station was a short walk away, and I'd walk up there. And there was a bridge, and I went with my grandfather, and we sort of went up there and looked at the trains. He said, "Oh, there's a train. It's very cool, very epic." I think I remember once seeing a steam train on that railway, just sort of going past very quickly, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool." And I think that probably solidified my enjoyment of the show. Although I will confess, I never really watched much of it. I didn't really have a way to watch it. So basically, a lot of my knowledge comes from reading the storybooks and sort of catching up on it later on like wikis and watching episodes on YouTube. So there's just I think I've probably seen a third of the show really. So I've been told to avoid seasons sort of 7, 8, 9. They're a bit not
Yeah,
great.
I really like. I started off watching early CGI because that was just what I was on TV at the time. I really got into it. Like I was like season 15, 16, that kind of thing.
Hmm.
And then like then after the show kind of ended, I kind of went back to the model series and started watch. I think I've probably maybe only finished up to season 4, and I just kind of I just love season 4. Season 4 is the best season in my opinion, just because
Season
all the
4 is
characters.
amazing. I think season 4 is even better when you get to sort of appreciate the real basis behind it. I think that's another part of it that I really like because I've been to the Talaclin Railway. I've been to the Audrey Extravaganzas. It is amazing. You see that the characters and the places from the books, from the show, sort of just turn into real things, and that is truly incredible. Like you can see the workmanship and the effort that's been put into presenting it as much of as a real place as possible. And I think that's another part that I like about the show, the sort of scenery and the locations. It's very quaint, very charming sort of places. Maybe not so the later CGI stuff, but like season 4, especially as you were saying, it's just magical.
Yeah, I think that's probably why I probably chose Stepney as my kind of channel basis here. Just it's so cool that I can, if I actually wanted to, I could go out and actually go see him if I really wanted to.
For sure, yeah. Or
That's
it's
the thing,
awesome.
fun that I can actually go to a real railway and go actually see a model of Stepney just like over there. Like I think it's so cool they base it off of a real train. That's just one of
Yeah,
the things.
definitely. Certainly. I mean, I've seen like the Flying Scotsman and all that several occasions. Been to the National Railway Museum in York. Definitely recommend going there. And you can see, you sort of look at it. Oh, look, there's Whiff, there's Neville, there's Spencer, sort of, there's Gordon's bases, and you're like, wow, this is really cool. I don't know if it's the best thing. That's the first thing that I associated with towards the Tank Kitchen characters, but that's the way it is, I guess.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I've actually I did a little side project one day when I was just kind of bored. I went on the wiki and found every single model basis and found each railway in the UK that actually has them and marked it all down on a little Google Maps document and just kind
Really
of have them all there if
awesome.
I ever want to see them.
That's very cool.
Because right now the only because I've been to the UK twice now. I kind of made it a little yearly thing. I just kind of like going. It's a really fun little extravaganza sort of thing. But I've been to
Lovely.
Thomas Land. It was fun in Drayton Manor. I thought that was actually really interesting.
Yeah, seeing the models is pretty cool, isn't it? Yeah.
Sadly, it was actually closed when I went. They actually closed it
Really? Oh,
down. because
Shame.
they moved it from where it used to be. They moved it into the little Winston ride. They moved it like underneath it between the gift shop and the Winston ride, and they were still
Did they
doing
really?
that when I actually have some pictures of it. I don't know if I can pull them up, but I actually have some. I actually have some photos because like I stuck my phone above the little barrier and actually got a glimpse of the the models as they were actually putting them out. That was really
Pretty
cool.
cool. Certainly, yeah, I agree. That's also, I think I've actually seen them. Thumper was cool to see. I had it as my profile picture for
That
a
was another
good
question I had.
while.
Why did you choose Thumper? Like, why was he kind of your little mascot for a while?
That's a good question. I think that from the get-go, I sort of wanted to be different from the other ones. Everyone had Thomas as their profile picture, and I thought, well, I'll go with Trevor. Trevor was my first one, and then I thought, let's go more obscure. I found out that Tommy had made a Thumper. I was like, this is niche. We're getting niche. So I made a profile picture for Thumper. And then a friend of mine, he just said, "I'll make you a nicer profile picture." Used that and kept that for a while. And then I realized that if my channel is going to be about Thomas trains and I want people to sort of recognize that and spread wider access a wider audience, I should probably go with Thomas. And I think I was getting into the flip face range there, so I sort of like said it would be cool to have Thomas as the profile. So that's what I've got now. Basically, it's gone through a few iterations, but yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a very neat. It's very cool to like actually use their like a very niche kind of character. And yeah, because so far the only like two trains I've actually been on in like my actual like I've been on the London Underground. I love the London Underground. It's amazing how they actually get that to work. Like,
Well, I don't know if you're commuting on it, and then all of a sudden it starts smelling a bit odd, and then like you get
I don't
a
know.
bunch of
I love the quirk.
gang members step in.
Like I have one of the little cards. I forgot Oyster card. Yeah, I
Oyster
still
card,
have one of
yeah.
those sitting in my.
S-
I like to take the
Sick.
little currency with me. Like I have a few British pounds and some euros and stuff that I kept with me.
Very cool. Like, I've got a few random, very random bits of currency lying around. So I've got some rubles or whatever this. So that's completely off topic.
Mhm. So yeah, like actually just 2 months ago, I was actually in London. I just decided to go on a little vacation. It was just gonna be Paris, but we decided, why not just jump on the Eurostar and go on to London while we were there. And
Right.
I got on the Eurostar and I actually lost my hat while I was on the Eurostar. I left it there,
Oh no.
and I actually contacted them by email, and they said they did not find it. So I lost a $40 hat that I would never be able to get back ever
Oh
again.
man. Yeah, that's a problem. It reminds me today when I was on a train, I was traveling with a friend and just lost the hat. No, not the hat. Sorry, the phone. She put her phone on the train. The train went away, and that was a bit unlucky. So I sympathise with your pain.
So what did you find it, or did
Oh,
you not
well,
find
it
it?
was very convenient. I mean, I knew a guy who was working at the station by the name of Will. Shout out to Will, signalman, I think, crossing keeper actually at Dullingham Station, and we just gotten off there. And he's got on the train at the same time. He sends me a message saying, "Is this your phone?" I said, "It's my friend's." He went to the next station, that being Newmarket. Sort of hid it behind some sort of box, sent the location, and then we walked all the way to Newmarket, which is like an hour and a bit, just to retrieve it, and got the phone back, and it worked. So I had a bit of luck with that. Um,
That's actually a pretty lucky situation there.
Very lucky, yeah. But I've left gloves on the train before. It's very annoying.
Yeah, I hate it. Like I left it there. I'm never seeing that ever again.
Certainly.
Because the
Well,
Eurostar went right back to Paris. I'm like, well, I guess I'm never seeing that again.
yeah. Well, what can you do? It's sitting there in some
Yeah.
French lost and found, I guess now.
Luckily, I did when I got back home. I found another one, so that was
That's
the
good.
same thing. So luckily, I actually found it. So yeah, I contacted them. I emailed them, and they said that it had probably been too long, and they probably wouldn't have ever seen it. So I was
Yeah,
a
it's a bit of
little
a lost cause. I mean, I hate leaving stuff. I left some headphones once on some flight in from Germany, and who knows where that plane went after that. So
yeah. It
it
probably
was. I think it was just cheaper to get new ones rather than go all the way back to the airport, sort of say, "Do you know where they are?" Pay the fee, sort of go look lost and found, and find out they're not your headphones, and uh,
yeah.
go home sad.
And I think Sorry, I'm just kind of going back to the whole other train thing. Like the only other train I've been on is I went on a I don't remember exactly what train it was, but it was from London to Birmingham. I went on a
London to Birmingham, right? So that
and I
would
got off
be
at Tamworth and went to Drayton Manor on that kind of day. It was just kind of a little day trip I decided to go on. I thought it was fun.
sure. Yeah, that sounds awesome. I've been to the Train Manor before as well. I think went by car though, rather than by train. I think the last time I went was ages ago, back when they didn't have this new display. I was much younger. It was pretty cool. I think I went with my gran. But yeah, going by train sounds pretty cool as well because get to go by train, look at trains, lots of trains.
Okay, yeah. I actually do have the photo right here. I actually do have the photo I took from over the
Oh right, that looks
thing.
completely different. Like they've remodded it quite a bit.
I thought it was kind of neat. They have like they just have like rail. They have like the original Thomas on the background. It's like Duck's just on the TV, and he's just kind of like it's
Cool.
cool to look at all the props. Like you can see James's red balloon over here. You got the windmill and all that, just kind of sitting.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I thought, and then I decided to look like a few weeks later, and people kept posting different things week by week. Like they put glass up, they put the engines in there, and eventually they finished it. I thought that was absolutely awesome. How they kind of
Definitely, yeah.
eventually figured it out. I
Indeed,
was just
yeah.
saying, it's very sad though, because like they don't really, in my opinion, I don't think they treat their models amazingly. A lot of their
Yes.
stuff is in really bad shape after
I
they.
think it's better to look at the positives of it and say, well, at least the models aren't lost somewhere or broken. At least they're there. You can see them. They're in some degree of ownership. So
Well, in that kind of state, they actually have lost two of the models, including Stepney, or the original Stepney model. They put into storage and never found ever again.
yeah, well,
Yeah,
maybe one day.
maybe.
Uh,
And then I just remember reading the wiki article about this before I went, and they actually said in 2011 the original model of Toby was actually
Toby, yeah,
stolen, and they
yeah,
never got that
that is
back.
pretty unfortunate.
I don't love how they don't really like. I think the rides are kind of fun. Like I love how themed it is. Like that's something I just really liked about it. Like I love how themed everything was.
Yeah,
I loved how like there was like just Thomas music always constantly playing in the background, and it's just kind of like it kind of feels like you're like at some points of it you just feel like, hey, wow, I guess I went to Sodor then. Like it kind of
yeah,
feels like there's like but right when I went, they actually added a new ride. They added an All Engines Go ride, which was kind of weird, but you know,
really,
yeah, they
yeah.
added. It's a little submarine you sit on. It's meant for like 5-year-olds, but I decided to like I looked stupid, but I decided to get on it, and I'm like I'm just sitting there. Like you just see it, like you see a little toddler ride, and it's just like a guy that's like his head sticking out the top, and he's just riding down the thing.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
fair enough.
So basically, what did you really like connect with? Like what is your favorite train? Like out of all of them, which one do you think is your genuine favorite?
Out of sorry, what?
Like what do you think is like your favorite like actual train that you've seen?
Actual train. Right, that is a good question indeed. I'll have to think. Hmm. Do I want to be niche and say the Flying Scotsman? I sort of, got to see the cab and the tender. That was very epic. Um, I think probably that in terms of a steam locomotive that I've seen. If I have to talk about actual trains, like which I see on my network every single day, I'd say the class 755s. Um, I know it's not incredibly related, but they're very good, very comfortable trains, and they look
Hmm.
nice to
It
go
looks
around
very nice. I
locations.
decided to look up a picture because I just decided to. Yeah, it does look very nice. It's a very nice looking train.
For sure, definitely. Um, But yeah, I think in terms of steam locomotives, the Flying Scotsman's, it's got so much history, I guess, and it's just so cool. I think I made a documentary about it, and since then I've sort of discovered all the information, all the buyers of it, how it's gone through so many hands, and like managed to end up in one piece on the
Yeah, because
railway
like
is nothing short of miraculous.
I heard it like in the 70s they went to America and they almost kind of
America, yeah,
scrapped it.
pegged
Yeah,
that.
and they almost
Nearly
scrapped it
sold,
while it
then
was
it came
there.
back, and then nearly got sold overseas to the French, I think, if the Richard Branson and the National Railway Museum and the public hadn't raised enough money. It's a crazy story. And all these owners kept, getting hold of it, and then they just kept going bankrupt, had to sell it to the next one, and then currently it's still, I believe it's either at the Locomotion Museum in Shildon or the National Railway Museum in York.
I definitely do want to go to York because I think it's a very cool place. Like I love how the National Railway Museum just kind of like fits in the center, and it's like you have all these crazy trains you would have never seen otherwise.
Absolutely.
Like, I think they have Stephen's Rocket as of right now. I think.
They, yeah, I think last time I went, they had the original Stephenson's rocket, and I was like, "Well, this looks cool," because I'd seen it in the London Science Museum, I think, because I'd been to London now, I saw it there, and I thought, "Oh wow, they've moved it to York." It's incredible because you walk around, and you've got locomotives all around you. Last time there was the Scotsman there, I spoke to a guy who was sort of uh, a staff member. It was very enlightening to hear what he had to say, sort of going on about the Scotsman, its operations and all that. Quite interesting. And the city of York, I recommend it wholeheartedly. It is absolutely beautiful. A nice walk along the wall is great.
Okay, I did want to show this little bit of footage that I had from the. I thought this was actually like really cool because like this is something I would never actually see if I wasn't there. I thought this was awesome. Like I don't know, I just think it's neat to just watch the train zoom by, and you like I'd never see that otherwise.
It
Like
is
I
very
never
cool, and the
just
turbulence as well. It makes
it
you
was
feel
like there was so
alive.
much wind blowing off that. And I'm just I don't know,
Yeah,
because in America, if you actually were get onto a train, there's like rails everywhere, and they're like, but no, there's just like just a little bit of yellow thing on the concrete, and you're just supposed to stand back. It just kind of I don't know, it kind of blows
well,
me away because like there's been so many things of like people trying to get onto a train in America and they just like fall off somehow, and
oh
it's just
dear.
ridiculous.
Yeah,
But
no, I absolutely not good.
I think one of the coolest things I did while I was there, I went to the London Transport Museum. I thought that
That's
was
cool.
awesome
Certainly.
because they have like a really old steam train in there. They have all the old buses and all that inside,
They
and I think
definitely
it's really
do.
cool. It's like a very big inside thing. I think it's really neat.
Absolute treat. Yeah, I think I managed to get in there last time for free because I'm under whatever age you have to be there with. It was quite funny. They asked me for ID. I said, "Well, I'm 15. I don't have ID." And after a little bit of back and forth, managed to enter in. But it's very good indeed. Like the museums you've got in Britain, usually they're fantastic, top notch. Everything's in such good condition, like ridiculous. They clean so often. Very cool.
Yeah, I think yeah, because also I like how a lot of that stuff's like it's very either really cheap or free to get into a lot of museums over there. Well, here
Yeah,
it's a fortune to try to get into a museum
really.
somewhere. Yeah, like I was so surprised when I went to France and the Louvre was just free to walk into. I'm like man, I can just walk to go see the Mona Lisa for absolutely nothing.
Well, you have to wait for quite a bit, but yeah,
Yeah,
it
I'm just
is.
saying like it's free. I'm just like I didn't know I could just walk in. But
Yeah,
like
but
in America, like if I
pay
actually
for
want to go to a
passes.
museum, that's like a 30, 40, $50 per person to go in.
Wow, really? Oh dear.
Yeah, they charge you crazy, and a lot of the stuff in there is not even in great condition.
Oh dear. Well, that yeah, that is not ideal. I'll bear that in mind if I ever go to the US.
But you should definitely come though, because it's amazing. Like, and the thing is, I think it's cool is that the only really other trains we have is we do have metro in most cities. Most major cities do have some sort of metro system. The only thing to be cautious though is I would not recommend like I love taking pictures of them, I love looking at them, but I would never actually ride them just because like it's too it's like too risky in my opinion.
Is it really?
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a lot of stories of people getting severely killed on trains.
Yeah, I can imagine. And then I suppose you can apply that to London Underground. In peak hour, it is a nightmare. It's just
Yeah,
people
I've
train.
walked through 7 a.m. right near Heathrow traffic. Like it's
Oh yeah,
ridiculous.
mental. And then you can't get a seat, and then you end up. I suppose that's all trains. I suppose mostly going to London. Really, many a time I have been on a train to King's Cross, and I have been standing the whole time.
Yeah, I think it's very neat though. Like I just love how like interconnected everything is. Like I can go almost anywhere on a train, and I don't really have to. I don't.
Well, it is until you find out that it isn't, and you have to take a bus somewhere. I suppose that's in the more regional parts of the country, not definitely not sort of London. If, for instance, I wanted to take a train to, let's say, Haverhill from Cambridge or something like that, then no more train. Beeching said no, so you got to go by bus. So that's a bit unfortunate how all those railway lines are cut. Um, but I think it is quite well connected in like you can get from city to city quite nicely. You can get mostly from town to town, and quite a lot of villages are connected together as well, which is good for the majority of people.
One of the things I thought was kind of weird is you actually can't get a train from London to the Bluebell Railway. That's not possible for some reason.
No, yeah, I suppose
You have to
that's
go to Gatwick, and then from Gatwick you got to transfer onto a bus to get there, which is weird.
yeah, it's not ideal. Where is the Bluebell Railway? Is that in Sussex
I
or
think yeah, I think it's in like mid Sussex. It's kind of
Sussex? Right, yeah.
yeah, it's like so basically what you have to do is you gotta get onto a train to Gatwick. You gotta get like right near Gatwick regional the airport in Gatwick. And then from Gatwick you can take a small train I think to like the next station, and then you have to get onto a bus to the all the way there, and it's like a 20-30 minute bus ride, and I'm just like
Sure, yeah.
what's the point of going to a railway if there's no actual railway to take me there? Like
Yeah,
it's
that's a bit unfortunate for sure.
like that'd be kind of. I think it'd be kind of cool if there was like just like a train straight from London to like one of these railways, and they just like take you straight there. Like that'd be kind of.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
But I've actually been trying to go to Teleclin and to the Audrey Extravaganza for a while now, but it's just so ridiculous to get flights. It's
Is
it's
it?
so- it's so
Right.
expensive. From okay, I decided to look because I would take me and my family to Birmingham and then get on the train to Teleclin because that's the closest airport. Because
Yes.
Cardiff is not a feasible option.
No, is it not? Well, I
It's like
suppose.
it's like 3 or 4 hours from Teleclin, and
Really? Oh,
Birmingham,
my word.
yeah, Birmingham or Liverpool are the two closest airports to
Yeah, I don't know if you particularly
Teleclin.
want to go to Liverpool or for that matter,
Yeah,
Birmingham.
I
Nothing
figured
against.
that
I got a
out.
comment from some. I got a comment from somebody saying if I went anywhere north of Birmingham, I'd get my head kicked in, which is quite nice of them.
Yeah, it's
So
weird. I've actually spoken to a lot of North England like people from the north, and they seem really nice. I don't
oh,
know.
yeah, they're definitely nice. You get the very funny people in the comment section threatening you with getting your head kicked in and whatnot. I think it's
Um,
quite funny. But yeah, that makes sense. Birmingham and then drive to Tanaclin or
well,
get.
actually, you can take a Welsh Rail to Teleclin
Oh
from.
yeah, you would be able to, wouldn't you? I think I looked into that at some point, seeing if there's a direct train to Birmingham from where I am, and you can just yeah, that's fair enough. So sorry, I interrupted you. We're going on about flights, I think.
Yeah, and for me and my family, it should be around three. To Birmingham would be around just a one way flight is 3 grand,
Yeah,
and
it's
it's
not
it's
ideal.
actually for some reason cheaper to fly into Paris for some reason.
Yeah, well,
It's,
I
I mean,
suppose there's not a lot of planes flying to Birmingham from America, then I
yeah, but I
suppose.
think it's weird because like I would have to transfer to a because most times when I'm leaving the U.S. I have to go to Detroit or Minneapolis or such to get there, and it's kind of
Mhm.
a like you can't actually go straight from like because like there's only like a few hub airports that really take you to Europe. Like you have Minneapolis, Detroit, Boston, New York, and Atlanta. That's only and Atlanta. I'm just saying, if you go to America, do not go to Atlanta at all cost.
You're right. Yeah, I think I've got some family who live in Washington, so might visit them at some point. Who knows? In which
Yeah, I'm just
case,
saying, like
I will
Atlanta is the
take your advice.
biggest airport in I think the world. It's either America or the world. I can't remember, but it's definitely in the top five at least in the world.
Right, yeah.
And I'm saying even Atlanta in general, like I love Atlanta. There's a lot of cool things there. You can go see the Coca-Cola Museum, like you see where they make it, and like you can go to they have an amazing aquarium in Atlanta. But the thing is, like there's so much traffic there that it is so hard to get absolutely anywhere.
I should imagine. Yeah, that's not ideal.
Like you can't like it's not really that feasible to get really anywhere because like it's just so crowded. because everyone's trying to get to that airport, and like no one can really go anywhere, and you're just kind of stuck for like 20-30 minutes in traffic and just in the middle of a roundabout just trying to go somewhere. I noticed that
Yeah.
they've been installing a lot of roundabouts here in the US, and no one knows how to use them at all. No one. Not a
Hmm.
single person I've literally seen videos of some people just driving over the middle of the roundabout, just going right over it.
Oh dear.
Like,
America, land of the free. That's what they call it.
I mean,
Land
you're
free.
gonna probably mess up your rim in some way, but you know, you're getting there, I guess. But you
I
know,
suppose.
but
Well, it's all fun and games till you took
I'm
the wrong
getting way
exit. You
off
have to go
topic
back.
here. I'm
Yeah.
getting
So
way off topic. Yeah. Sorry about that.
no worries.
Um, basically, what I think is that I've been actually trying to really actually look to live in the UK, and to be honest, just because I don't love how America really is to live. Like it's very nice. Like I definitely can get more like places to be and all that. But in the
Mhm.
UK, I can really like I love how I can just be so interconnected to a lot of places, and I don't have to. Because in the US, like if I actually want to get from city to city, like for example, if I want to drive from, I'm just going to give an example, Vegas to Los Angeles, that is a 5-hour drive from Vegas to LA.
LA.
And
Right.
then
Well,
like
I have a vague idea of where those places are. Yeah, that is
yeah.
extortionate.
Yeah, and then I've actually driven, I think maybe at most 12 hours to Dallas, I think.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it's
crazy.
ridiculous.
I
Yeah,
think
it's
the
like
longest. Yeah. Sorry.
no, you can keep going.
I think
Continue.
the longest train journey you can take in the UK is 13 hours, and that's from Aberdeen to Penzance. That's covering the entire country essentially. So
Yeah.
yeah, that is crazy how that's just to get from LA to Vegas.
Yeah, I heard there's a thing where like if you drive more than 4 hours from the center of the UK, you'll probably just end up in the water somewhere in
Yeah,
most
I
directions
should
just because
imagine.
you'll just go straight into the water.
Well, that's what you get when you have an island, I guess.
Yeah. I'm just saying like the UK is not extremely big. Like I like that kind of like how I can get places without having to take extraordinarily long times to get there.
Yeah, definitely. It's very nice, I guess, to live here. I mean, and even the domestic plane flights here are nice. I flew up to over the holidays to Aberdeen from was it Luton? I think it was Luton, and it was our flight. You're already in like practically the northernmost bit of England, which is very good.
Yeah, yeah, from getting I think from like one part of the US like going upward like just like long ways, like just going up, it takes around 2 to 3 hours from like Florida, like from like the panhandle of Florida up to Detroit. It's I
Sure.
think it's weird. Yeah, from LA to New York, that's like a 10-hour flight. Or like no, it's not like 10 hours.
Right.
It's like 8 or 9, yeah, from LA
That's
to
mad. That is absolutely
New
mad.
York.
8 or 9 hour flight. Wow.
Yeah,
America's
and it's weird that at the same distance I can go from Detroit to Paris in 11.
yeah. That is
And
that's
just
ridiculous.
kind of put it in the scale of it. It's just such a long, like I've been trying to go to Japan and I realize it's such a long way to Japan from, like I was just
Yeah.
looking because like the only feasible airport would be Los Angeles, and Los Angeles to Tokyo is a 15-hour flight, and I'm just like, what am I doing?
15 hours. Yeah. Considerable layovers as well, I presume.
Yeah, I've also been looking at probably coming back to. So what would you recommend as a place to go to in the UK at least?
Well, absolutely depends on what you want to see. What would you be interested in looking at, I guess?
I mean, kind of the same thing as you. I'm a very big train guy. I love looking at all the transportation and all that. It's very
Trains.
fun for me.
Sure. Well, if you haven't been to York, that is one on the list for sure. And then obviously, I would recommend visiting and this is what I would recommend visiting in the summer, the Talyllyn or the Snowdon Railway. Snowdon, I would recommend sort of hiking up the mountain, and then taking the train down, or vice versa. It's incredibly pleasant, sort of beautiful views. So that, in my opinion, would be some places to go.
Isn't it in like
Um,
the middle of a national park, kind of like in
it
North
is Snowdonia
Wales?
National Park, absolutely
Yeah,
beautiful.
I've
Um,
heard Wales is very nice to just kind of walk around in, and I've heard there's a little nice beach on the coast right near Talyllyn.
Yeah, there's a certainly. I would recommend that, and then also I believe the West Highland Line. If you manage to make your way up to Scotland, that's regarded as one of the most scenic railway lines in the world. So I could also recommend. It's got a lot of changing scenery. I went up there, and that's where the most remote station in Britain is. So it's cool to see.
Yeah, because I don't a lot of my family doesn't really love the whole idea of just going to England just to look at some trains and come back. They
Yeah,
don't love
I
that
can imagine.
idea because like I go in there, I'm like, hey, I'm trying to find us a flight to Wales so we can go look at some trains for a day or two, and they're like no, I'm doing
Yeah.
that because they
And
want to go to like Rome and Athens and all that, which I actually am thinking about going to Dublin and because
Dublin, right?
I think Ireland's it's very pretty in Ireland. It's a very nice little place to go.
Yeah,
Like,
I've never been personally, but yeah, I've heard many good things about it.
yeah, so far I've currently been to the UK, France, and the Bahamas.
That's a nice variety. Yeah,
I would just say
so
if you ever actually do go to the Bahamas, it is kind of disappointing to be honest, in my
really,
opinion. It's like you know how you imagine it in like the movies and all that. It's like beautiful beach and all that, and no, it's a big tourist trap.
hmm, I
It
see.
is
Right.
one
Well,
big. I did that because I do a little thing where I get a flag of everywhere I go. So I have a because I bought a British flag on with a little street vendor for like £3, and that was
yeah,
cool. It's like a nice wooden little handle and everything. And then I went
sure.
to Bahamas and bought one. It was actually really bad quality. It was $15.
$15. Yeah, that is a bit of a
Didn't
scam.
even come with a pole.
Oh no.
It's just right now just kind of tacked to my wall, and I'm like, why did I pay for this? Because they don't really they have their own currency. They choose not to use it. They choose
Right.
to only use the U.S. dollar. Because I think the Queen is actually still in power, the King now, but he's still in power in the Bahamas.
Yeah. Might be. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure on the
I think they're
geopolitical
still part of the Commonwealth with the monarchy and all that. I don't really
fair enough.
exactly know how the monarchy works. I've tried to figure that out many times.
Yeah, I think the sort of they'll have him on their money or whatever. Like you've got Canada, if I'm not mistaken, which is a Commonwealth country, Australia, so on. They've got I don't know about Canada. I know Australia's got the Queen on their coin. I think it's got the Queen on their coins.
Yeah,
I
because isn't that how it works? Is like they're kind of like the face of the country, and the prime minister kind of runs most of the
yeah.
everything.
Yeah, so basically we've got, who is it now? Starmer. I wouldn't even be surprised if Canada had Trudeau stamped on a coin, but I assume it's the king or the queen, if they haven't got new
Yeah,
ones.
'cause- so is that kind of like a good thing, or like I've never really figured? Is it kind of like a president, sort of, or is
A
it just kind
monarchy?
of like a
No, they don't do anything. I mean, you'll see sort of they go to like hospitals and open them. They make interviews on the TV. They have their Christmas thing where they go on about this or that, make a speech. I think they don't really do anything, and I'm not a massive monarchist, um, so it's not even really that important to me, I guess. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I
it's
know a lot
what
of
you've got
places
president.
still do have the monarchy, like Spain and Sweden and all them.
Spain,
Say,
yeah, I think it's more active there. I could be wrong, but here they do very minimal in terms of the country really running it.
I think one of the hold on, sorry, my screen disconnected there. Hold on, I think I think probably one of the most like cool things I've actually seen them do is they actually get to decide what becomes a city and what doesn't. That's one of the things they actually have
Yeah.
power over.
That is an interesting thing. So yeah, I mean, there's some places here which really shouldn't be cities. I was in
Like
Ely
St.
the other, and
David's.
yeah, Exeter, yeah, I suppose so. I was in Ely, and it's like it looks like a market town, if not an overly large village, but it's got a cathedral. So I think back then it was called a city, and they can't change that now.
Mm,
And then staying on the same topic, where I live, or close to where I live, Cambridge does not have a cathedral,
mm.
but it is a city because the queen or the king said so. So
Yeah, because like I think the craziest thing is, yeah, St. David's with a population of only 1,500 has city status, but the giant town of Reading does not for some reason.
yeah,
Like I don't know, I don't understand why they became like I know because the Queen actually, I think every 4 years or so, she had like a little party where she'd name cities every couple of years,
yeah.
and she just kind of went on with that. Which it's kind of weird. Like that's not how it happens here in America. Because in America we have like set rules on how you become a
Oh,
city.
for
Like you have
sure.
to have like a certain population, certain economic stature, stuff like that. It depends on which state
No,
you're
yeah,
in.
that makes sense. Here, it's just sort of, it's a really weird mix of old laws and new laws. It's quite confusing. Yeah.
I think it's here like you have to have like at least like 3 or 4 thousand people to at least qualify. But I don't exactly know though, because like our president. Because I think if you do you see what the election was or whatever.
Yeah,
I,
I pay attention to American politics, I suppose.
Yeah, I thought it was very weird because like when I went over there, there's like so much like American politics stuff because I went in October right before the election, and like
Oh yeah.
I was on the Eurostar. There was this French girl sitting next to me. She was literally just reading a U.S. politics book in French. I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah, I
I
mean, I
went
suppose
to
that the United States elections plays a very global part, and who their president is plays an incredibly strong part in sort of other countries, how they get on with the president, how this and that, and it all sort of, yeah, it's definitely an important
yeah, and
uh
I'm
political
honestly
thing.
because I do pay attention to it, but I was like I came all the way here to try to get away from America, and I'm just like sucked right back in because I saw like I
Yeah,
forgot what it was called I forgot it was this like new like documentary movie thing I saw that was like advertised everywhere. It was like I think it was called the Chosen or something. I don't remember.
right.
It was something about Trump. I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, I've not seen or heard of this, but sure, yeah.
I saw it on posters in Paris. It was one of the advertisements on the tube in London. I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah, for sure. I
Yeah,
mean,
well, kind of with our president, like it's kind of different than the whole prime minister situation. Like he kind of is more in control of how the
indeed.
country is run instead of really because like he was in Notre Dame in like last week when they reopened that. He was there.
I saw, yeah. That's true. I don't think that the PM here. Well, they do do quite a bit of work for
Yeah,
sure. But
I think the prince was there actually
the
as
prince,
well.
yeah.
The Prince of
Perhaps
Wales. I forgot what his name was, but
William, is it?
yeah, I think it's William. Yeah, he was there. He was there with his wife. They were.
Sure. Yeah. I'm not entirely sure.
I don't really. I try to listen to politics. I don't. I'm way off track here. I'm
Yeah.
supposed to be doing something about trains. I don't know how I got to the
In,
politics. I don't know.
indeed. Yeah.
Well,
It's fine. Yeah.
yeah, it's been around 45 minutes, so I think I'm gonna probably stop it off for here. Well, thank you for
Right.
joining me on my first episode of my podcast.
Thank you very much for having it. Having me. I really appreciate it.
And I think this actually because this was supposed to be like my first little thing to see if this would do well, and I think this actually might be something I continue to do, and I might continue to do the podcast. And yeah, well,
I hope
thank you
you
very
have
much for
all the
joining
best of luck
me,
with that.
and have a great day.
You too. Yeah. Thank you very much.
And